Okay, so we can continue. Andrew will start reading.
Okay. First four questions. What am I going to teach? What is the subject to be taught? What is the purpose of this study? What benefit is to be derived from teaching? And for whom is the teaching meant?
So, whatever we study, whatever we want to know, there has to be some prerequisites. We have to be eligible to study something. We cannot study, for example, quantum physics if first we didn't study some basic science. So the same here with Tattva Bodhah. We need to have been arrived in a particular mature state where a lot of questions are appearing inside us. Questions such as, what am I doing here? What is the purpose of my life? The meaning of my life? Who am I? Why I live in this particular city, particular country? What I have to do here, if there is a mission that I have to accomplish, and so on and so forth. So basic existential questions are usually appearing to mature souls. We can see around us that people, a lot of people, they don't even care, they don't bother to ask such questions. But those who are here in this study, in this satsang, for sure they had some questions like that. So Tattva Bodhah is a fundamental text. It is a text, a scripture that we can start with a strong foundation. We can start study, and we can start this process, this path of self-realization. So, Andrew, can you continue?
1 second. Would you like
the rest, please close your microphone and open it whenever you need to ask or to add something in order to have a clear audio.
Yeah, okay. The opening sentence, therefore, addresses what, for what, and for whom. It says, first let us consider the question, what is being taught?
Yes, please continue.
Okay, yeah. The author says, again a Sanskrit term, Tattva in this context means oneself, i.e., real nature of oneself, which is popularly called as Atma in the Sastras. Viveka means analysis or inquiry. So Tattva Viveka means self-analysis, self-inquiry, or finding out whom really am I. Prakara means the method, the procedures. So joining the three words Tattva Viveka Prakara means the method of self-inquiry, the method of self-analysis. Self-inquiry will lead to self-knowledge. Then it goes on. Do you want me to continue?
No, we can do a pause here. So in Advaita Vedanta, it is very, very important to do this discrimination as often as possible. What is real and what is unreal? What is the substance and what is an appearance? For example, here we can see that, let's say, if you have in front of you a table or a desk, the desk, we can say it is an appearance, it is a nama rupa, it is a name and form. It has a label that we have given to it. But its real substance, it is wood. So the real substance, it is wood, and the appearance and the namarupa, it is what we call a desk. It is the same with everything in this apparent universe. Whatever we see, we give it a label, a name and form, but in reality, its substance is always the same. It is consciousness. And that is what in Advaita Vedanta is always very, very important. This discrimination, this viveka between Atma and Anatma. So Atma is our real self, our real substance, our real nature. That's why a lot of times when we say Atma, we can say also the self with capital S. And Anatma is whatever appears always in front of us. Whatever appears and disappears, it is Anatma. And whatever is the permanent factor is Atma, is the self or consciousness. So you can continue, Andrew.
Inquiry will lead to self-knowledge. We know that an inquiry into any subject will lead to the knowledge of that subject. And therefore, the author says that he's going to deal with the topic of self-knowledge through self-inquiry so that you will know yourself better. Now, if you say, I already know about myself, the response of the scriptures is, you think you know, but really speaking, you don't know who you are. And even if you don't know, it doesn't matter because ignorance, it is said, is bliss. The problem is that not only you don't know who you are, but you've got all kinds of misconceptions about yourself, which makes life worse. Ignorance by itself will not create that much of a problem, but erroneous conclusions will lead to worse problems. Self-ignorance and self-error or misconception are two problems that are causing havoc in your life. Therefore, better remove the ignorance and misconception and know who you really are. This is the answer to the first question. What is the subject to be taught?
So what we really want to know here is our true real nature, our true self. A lot of people, they say, and why to bother to search about this knowledge? Because a lot of people believe that to know their character or their personality, it is enough. A lot of people, they know their bad sides and their good sides, and it is more than enough. But is it really our personality, our true self? Or it is something which is a witnessing presence, a witnessing consciousness that is always this permanent factor. Whatever appears and disappears cannot be our true nature. So what is always there, even in the deep sleep without dreams, and whatever is always apparent is our true nature. For example, in the deep sleep without dreams, there is no personality there. There is no universe. There is no anything that appears as a mental activity. Although we know this blankness, this emptiness, this non-movement of the thinking process. That's why in the morning when we wake up, we can recall that I have a wonderful sleep, a deep sleep. I was not thinking anything at all. It was wonderful, and I wish I can sleep often like that, having a very good deep sleep without dreams. So what was there and what was able to accommodate and reveal even this state of blankness or emptiness or the non-activity of the thinking process should be our permanent nature, our permanent self. Yes, can you continue, Andrew?
The second question they ask is, what is the benefit or purpose for which I have to gain this knowledge? I have successfully managed so many years. I have got married. I have got children. I have got grandchildren. If I have managed successfully for so many years, can I not manage a few more years without Tattva Bodhah? Why are you interfering in my life?
Yes, as I said before, most of the people, they don't bother to go deeper in what is their true nature or their true self. But sooner or later, a sector in their life appears with troubles. Let's say if your relationship sector is okay without any problems, and your health sector and your business and career sector, everything goes all right, then you tend to believe that everything is perfect and there is no problem. But sooner or later, one of your sectors in your life will change, because everything in this life is impermanent. So either your relationship sector or your career sector or your family sector or whatever, any of your sector in life can appear with trouble or with problems. And then you start this questioning, and why this happened to me? Why this problem appeared? And you start criticizing even God, why he gave this problem to you or this trouble to you. Or you tend to blame another person. Well, in Advaita Vedanta and in general in Sanatana Dharma, we know that everything appears and disappears according to punyam and papam, which means our good or bad karma that we have accumulated through previous janmas, through previous lifetimes. So this is the fruition now in this current lifetime of our previous karma, of our previous punyam and papam. So what we call Advaita, in Advaita Vedanta, prarabdha karma, which is the karma that we have to deal in this current lifetime. So whatever appears and disappears in the life of a person is not according to an accident. According to Sanatana Dharma, there is no accident. There is nothing that is just an accident in this universe. Everything is according to eternal laws. And that's why we need the support of the scriptural study, the support of the Sastram, because Sastram appears to be a wonderful manual for life. It gives all that we need for having a harmonious life, in harmony with the universe and the apparent others. And if you believe that just because you managed to have success in life till now, that cannot guarantee that everything will go well in the next years of your life, in the rest years of your life. And also, what we see as an apparent universe is always according to our senses. And most of the times, our senses are not accurate. So if you, for example, you say that you speak about Atma, but I cannot see Atma. I cannot see Atma with my senses. But that doesn't mean that something that cannot appear according to your senses does not exist. So the senses always are showing to us not the substance of something, but the appearance and the superficiality of something. So if you see, let's say, a person as an appearance, you don't see what is inside this person. You don't know his character, for example, or you don't know even if in his body there is a sickness in the body, or there is a problem, or whatever. And also, the people who tend to just to be satisfied with the senses are usually what we call materialistic or worldly persons. But a person who is just invests his happiness, peace, and bliss in worldly things, he's always doomed to failure, to disappointment. Why? Because everything in this life is impermanent. Just like Buddha said, the only permanent thing in samsara, in this apparent universe, is impermanence. So, in another point, he says that you are living in a building which is ready to fall down, and you are trying to find happiness, peace, and bliss inside this building. Or to another text, he says that your home is full of fire, and while your home is full of fire, you try to attain peace, bliss, and happiness inside such a home. So whatever in this life appears to be fulfilling and in a good condition, that doesn't mean that it will be in a permanent basis like that. And even if you have the best relationship, the best career, the best family, and in every sector of your life, everything is wonderful, that doesn't mean that always will be like that. Sooner or later will appear old age and possible sickness. Also will appear the death of beloved ones. Even if you have the best partner in life, this partner will not be able to stay with you forever. The same with your friends and your relatives. So this life cannot offer to us permanent peace, bliss, and happiness. We can enjoy the beautiful moments in this life according to our punyam, and we can, with patience, we can accept also the painful moments of our life. But sooner or later, we should discover what is really what we call myself. What is that when I call myself? What really means myself? Yes, Andrew, can you continue?
To this that will respond, do you really believe that all along you have led a quality life, a life free of strife and misery, life full of happiness and liberation? You have to be honest to yourself. Other than a jnani, a realized soul, no one can honestly answer this question in the affirmative. So, the author continues, why can't you have a quality life for at least the remaining few years of your life? And this knowledge is the only means to have that quality life, which is moksha sadhana bhutam. Bhutam means in the form of, sadhana means an instrument or a cause, moksha means the fivefold benefits described in the first chapter. So moksha sadhana bhutam means that which happens to be the means of attaining moksha. The author says, I shall teach you this knowledge. This knowledge will give moksha, which would be a welcome benefit for every human being. This will transform the quality of one's life. The advantage will be, when the quality of one's life increases, it benefits other members of the family also. So, at least for the benefit of other members of the family, for the peace of mind of other members of the family, shouldn't one improve? Then goes on to the next question.
Yes, we can do a pause here. So, what the purpose of Advaita Vedanta is, as I said earlier, to help you, to give you a manual of life, first of all, to live a harmonious life in harmony with the apparent universe and the apparent others, but gradually to lead you in what is called moksha. Moksha means permanent liberation, permanent happiness, bliss, and peace, permanent security. And that we can accomplish only if we see, if we deeply understand that what is our true nature, our true self, is already in its nature Satchitananda Svarupa, which means of the nature of Satchitananda. And what means that? It means that our true nature, according to the scriptures and according to Advaita Vedanta, is Sat Chit Ananda. Sat, which means infinite truth and beingness. Chit, which means consciousness and awareness. And Ananda, which means our true nature is infinite bliss, happiness, and peace. So, what we are searching in worldly things, what we are searching in the so-called external universe, is always our true nature, our true self, our Satchitananda Svarupa. So, in our substance, we are what we are seeking of. And the only way to see that is by following the advice of a competent guru or acharya, a spiritual friend, a spiritual teacher, who is part or belongs to a holy, ancient, pure, and authentic spiritual lineage or tradition. And of course, all the rest of the tools, which are sadhana, spiritual practice, scriptural study, sastram study, and a life with karma yoga. So what is the prerequisites of doing this this effort, this spiritual practice and spiritual life, is to follow the advice of the rishis of the past, of the realized ones. And these advices have helped infinite number of people to experience permanent peace, happiness, and bliss. So by following these advices, by listening to the teachings through Sravanam, which means listening under a competent guru or acharya, and by Mananam, which means clarifying and asking questions and removing our doubts, and then finally with what we call in Advaita Vedanta Nididhyasanam, which means Vedantic meditation, which is to assimilate, to soak oneself in these teachings, to assimilate in his life and in his self. We will be able at a mature stage to experience our Satchitananda Svarupa, our infinite, true, impersonal nature. And by saying impersonal, I mean that our true Svarupa, our true substance, is impersonal consciousness, awareness, and bliss. It is not a person or a body-mind complex or an ego or a soul, a jiva, but the substance is Brahman. That's why a realized one is able to say, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, I'm of the nature of Satchitananda, Satchitananda's Svarupa. So all this path, it needs to follow the advices and the recommendations of the ancient jnanis, the realized ones, and applying all these advices to our lives and to ourselves. Yes, Andrew?
I just wanted to mention that this section in the book is called Introduction to the Fourfold Qualifications.
Yes. You can continue a little bit reading, and then we can do a pause for asking questions and clarifying some possible doubts.
Okay. Yeah. The next question. The next question is, for whom is the teaching meant for? What is the target audience? Every institution, be it educational institution or a commercial organization or a scientific research institution, etc., has to address this question right in the beginning of undertaking any venture. That is, who is eligible to use the product? For example, a student who has to seek admission in any institution has to have several qualifications or eligibility, etc. If he has to study any professional course, he needs to go through an aptitude test. If he has to seek admission in a US university for a master's level program, he has to first qualify through the GMAT or GRE examinations. Even in sports, one has to go through qualifying rounds. In this case, the author calls the target audience for this knowledge, Adhikarinam. Adhikari means the eligible students, fit students, prepared students. So the author says that I am teaching this self-knowledge for those students who are fit, ready, and prepared to receive this knowledge. The eligible students are those who possess sadhana katustaya sampati. Apologies for the pronunciation. Sampada means the one who has or is endowed with virtue, and this virtue is sadhana katustaya.
Sadhana Chatustaya Sampatihi. Sadhana Chatustaya Sampatihi.
Katustaya means the fourfold virtues, the fourfold disciplines, or the fourfold qualifications. Whoever possess these are called adhikaris. So, to sum up, the author says that he's imparting self-knowledge to the qualified students for attainment of moksha. The author completes the sentence stating, I am communicating, I am transferring this knowledge.
Yes. So this means adhikari, which means the eligible student. The eligible student must have these fourfold qualifications, which is called sadhana chatustaya sampatihi, which we will see more, we will do more analysis. But until now, does anybody wish to ask something or to clarify or to add something? Okay.
Namaste, Acharya.
Namaste.
So, when I was, reading about Advaita, I found that, the creation of the whole universe, or rather the creation itself was, done by the primordial self or the supreme self. So when the primordial self created the whole universe or the creation, and then it manifested itself in, in different forms of living and non-living things. Like say, we are also the manifestation of the supreme self. But we being humans, the the ultimate goal for us is to know or to realize the supreme self. So why does the supreme self want to manifest itself and wants to realize itself? Why is the play of Papa and Punya? Because it's just creating your reflection and then realizing that is yourself, right? So why is that play of Papa and Punya? Thank you.
Okay. First of all, we don't have a real creation. We have an appearance out of the combination of Brahman with Maya. So Isvara, which is Brahman plus Maya, is projecting this apparent universe, the apparent beings, the apparent objects after Pralayam. But Pralayam and the appearance of the universe is Anandi. It never had a beginning. It is beginningless. And it's only an apparition. It's only a magical show. The Upanishads in the beginning, for the beginner students, the junior students, or the junior spiritual seekers, they speak about a creation, and gradually they lead a mature student, a senior student, to the apocalypse, the revelation that nothing ever happened, nothing ever have been created in reality. Everything is just an apparition, an appearance, a magical show due to the projective power of Maya. So, if somebody is asking why this creation or why the creation appeared, this is not an eligible question, because first of all, there is no time and space. There is only the eternal here and now. And secondly, nothing ever happened, nothing ever have been created. It's only an appearance. It's only a big dream. Just like in the Astavakra Gita, Astavakra says to Janaka, everything what you see is a magical show lasting 3 to 5 days. So there is no purpose in Brahman. There is no purpose of creating, and there is no creation either. Now, there is no also a beginning, because it mentions in the scriptures the principle of ananti, beginningless. Maya is also beginningless. There is no beginning point of the projective power of Brahman. So everything appears and disappears as a magical show. There is no purpose, and nothing ever happened. Nothing will ever happen. Of course, this is very, very profound teaching and very, very difficult to grasp. First of all, somebody needs to see and to have this profound and mature understanding that he is not or she is not a somebody, an individual. And then such questions will stop to appear, because we tend to believe that there is a creation only when there is a thinking process. For example, if somebody is in the deep sleep without dreams, nothing appears there. There is no movement, there is no thinking process, and there is no also questions of any kind. But upon waking up in the morning, the thinking process is starting, and then there is also the attachment and the grasping, and you believe that you are somebody, and this is what we call in Advaita Vedanta ahankara, which means the I thought, or the thought I am this body-mind complex. Now, because you believe that you are this body-mind complex, you see other body-mind complexes as well, and you believe that you are a part, you are something, that somebody who is appearing in this external universe as a part. But who is looking this body-mind complex? What is the witnessing consciousness, Satchitananda, of this body-mind complex, cannot be imprisoned in this body-mind complex. All the body-mind complexes, all the apparent beings, all the apparent objects, all the apparent universe, appearing and disappearing in you, consciousness, awareness. So that appearance, this appearance, is beginningless. It never had a beginning point. Why? Because in the first place, there is no past, present, and future. There is only the eternal here and now, which is your true nature as Brahman, as infinite, impersonal awareness, consciousness. But this question, I think we will be able to analyze and to clarify much better when we will be ready to study more advanced scriptures, such as Vidyashankara, for example, or Panchadasi of Swami Vidyaranya, or Vivekachudamani, or Astavakra Gita, Avatuda Gita, Ribu Gita. Only in these profound scriptures we can deal with such difficult questions. Anybody else?
Can I follow up with a
Sure.
Okay, so what you told, I mean, the concept is quite contradictory to what it is there in Purusha Sukta, right? In Purusha Sukta, it says Chandrama Manaso Jataha Surya Chaksho Surya Jayata. That means from the mind of the Supreme Self, the moon arises, and from his eyes the sun is born. So is that again just in the dream of the Supreme Self? Are those things born, or is it because that is termed as I can't say real. Now, I now get a question if I had to call it real or non-real or unreal. But in what perspective should we see that? Because it's contradictory to this, right? Thank you.
Yes, it is always contradictory because it is the standpoint that we are looking in the Upanishads, in Vedanta, or in other very profound texts. So according to different levels of capacity of spiritual seekers, we have different meaning and different standpoint. So the key to understand and to clarify these contradictions in the scriptures, in the Shastram, it needs to clarify as well which is the standpoint. So if you look at it, for example, from the standpoint of a separate individual, then you can start and speak about the creation, and you can start and speak about the beginning and gradual unfoldment of the universe. But if you look at it from the point of view of your real nature as Brahman, infinite consciousness, then it is completely different. So, but because there are different levels of understanding and different stages of maturity, the scriptures wish to cover all these levels. So the teaching is appearing contradictory, but it's not in reality contradictory. It is a different level of capacity or spiritual maturity that needs to be covered. For example, in Bhagavad Gita, we have similar contradictions. First, Krishna is speaking about moksha, that it is the most profound goal in life, the fourth and most advanced goal of life. And in the end, it says that you should go beyond moksha. And why he's doing that? Because after have explained all the karma yoga and the spiritual lifestyle, then he is able to speak to the mature ones, where a mature one should sooner or later abandon even the concept of moksha. But of course, it looks like contradiction, but it depends of the standpoint that you are looking at the teaching. And this is full. That's why we say in the holy tradition, the Guru Parampara, that without a guru and without a living tradition, it is impossible to grasp the teachings. Exactly because there are so many apparent contradictions. So in reality, everything appears and disappears in the eternal here and now. But if you are a junior student, how you can grasp that? You will start by a more graspable teaching. Just like if you have kids, you cannot teach them quantum physics. You have to start teaching them basic mathematics and basic science. The same in spiritual tradition. We need to follow the same concept, the same principle of developing or cultivating the capacity of the spiritual seekers. For example, my guru, Swami Paramarthananda, is proposing and he's suggesting 3 levels of study. And he is starting with Tattva Bodhah. And he have, for example, in the end of the 3-level study, he have the last one, Astavakra Gita. What I want to say with this is that if I speak the teaching, if I will try to convey the teaching of Astavakra Gita to somebody who is a beginner, it will be impossible for the beginner student to grasp anything at all. So we have to start from Tattva Bodhah to speak for fundamental things, we start to prepare the students, and then gradually we can go to the most profound questions and the most difficult teaching. So, but in reality, it is what you said, everything is just a big dream in consciousness. It is a lila, it is a big dream, and it is the standpoint that is making the difference. And according to different standpoint, then we can have these apparent contradictions. But this is really very, very difficult subject, and we need to go, as I said, to the more profound scriptures. And also, this is a subject matter of Mandukya Karika, where there we will see that there is no such thing as creation. But for this scripture to study and to start, we need to, first of all, to do some kind of preparatory study. So after we will finish with this scripture of Tattva Bodhah, we will go to the 6 first chapters of Bhagavad Gita, and gradually we will follow the scheme and the level of study, the levels of study of my Guru, Swami Paramarthananda, and we will be able to cover even the most profound questions. Somebody else? So, Andrew, can you continue the reading?
Obviously, the next question would be, what are these virtues or qualifications, so that one can find out if one is eligible or not for receiving this self-knowledge? It is worth pointing out here that the author presents the entire teaching in the form of a dialogue. This is one of the methods of teaching used by acharyas, especially philosophers. Even some Western philosophers use the format of dialogue for presenting their thoughts. Some of the philosophical books themselves are called dialogues. The advantage of this method is that there is an imaginary student and an imaginary teacher. The student raises the questions and the teacher answers. And the questions raised by the students are generally the ones commonly asked by the people. In the modern parlance, they are called FAQs, frequently asked questions. So the author uses the FAQ method to communicate this teaching. Now, in a dialogue format, it is necessary to know what words are spoken by the student and what words are spoken by the teacher. Mostly, the context itself would supply this detail. However, if it is absent, like in this text, we have to supply the same. So wherever a question is raised in the text, we have to assume that the student is raising the question. In scriptural parlance, this will be stated as Sishya Uvaka. The student asks or states. Similarly, for the answers, we have to supply Guru Uvaka. With this background, let us look at this set of Q&A. The student asks, Sadhana Katyustayam Kim? What is the fourfold requirement for self-knowledge, so that I can acquire them if I do not have them?
Yes, continue.
Yep. The teacher enumerates. The first one is viveka, which means discriminative knowledge or clarity in thinking. The most important virtue in life is freedom from muddled or confused thinking. Even in the worst crisis, the one that can keep his cool and enjoy clarity in thinking can win. Adi Shankaracharya has written a very famous work called Viveka Kudamani, which consists of 580 plus verses. Kudamani means the crest jewel. the Acharya says that discrimination or clear thinking alone is the primary ornament of a human being. The gold ornaments and jewels are not the real ornaments. Okay? More? Shall I continue? Yep. Of course, in the contemporary times, the word discrimination is used in the media and newspapers in a negative sense. For example, caste discrimination, gender discrimination, nationality discrimination, etc. In these contexts, the word discrimination has the connotation of partiality. But in Vedanta, the word used is viveka, which, in the absence of a better equivalent in English, is translated as discrimination in a positive sense, which connotes clear thinking, insight, discernment. So the first qualification is viveka, or discrimination. Before going into the details, let us briefly understand what is meant by nitya anitya vastu viveka. Nitya vastu means a permanent one, a permanent thing, or a permanent entity. Whatever is permanent is called nityam. And nitya vastu means that which is impermanent. And viveka, as we have seen, means discrimination. So the author says that the first qualification is to have a clear awareness of the fact of what is permanent and what is impermanent.
Yes, till now, it is speaking about what I said also before about discrimination of what is real and what is unreal, what is real substance and what is a non-substance. And I gave the example of a desk or a table. So the real substance of a table, as I said before, or a desk, is the woodness, the wood, not the desk or the table. So we tend to give, as I said earlier, names and forms, labels, nama, rupa. And we tend to believe that what we give as a label appears as a real entity or as a real thing, as a real substance, when in reality, the substance is not what we call it is. So the same with a jewelry. Let's say a golden ring. The ring does not exist. The gold does exist. We give the apparent label, the ring, to the gold. But the substance of the ring is the gold. So this is what the text is speaking about, nitya, anitya. What is permanent and real and what is not permanent and real. But for now, I think we can close for tonight with a small meditation, guided meditation. And we will continue next Sunday, going more deeper in the qualifications of the adhikari, the student of this, the eligible student of this text, and more deeper understanding of our self-knowledge. So for now, take a comfortable posture. It is very important to not to have tension in your physical body. It is very, very important to close your eyes in order to have less distractions from your eyes. So close your eyes, start focusing on your breathing. Try to keep your spine and your physical body, your back, as straight and vertical to the ground, but without tension. Become aware of the process of your breathing. Become aware of the thoughts when they do appear, but let them go immediately. Try not to grasp on the thoughts. Just let them appear and disappear, but without offering to them a lot of attention or importance. Become aware of the sensations in your pelvic area, the sensations in your feet, become aware of the small movements in your eyes, do not try to modify or change your breathing mode, just to be aware of the breathing process is enough. Forget as much as possible now the body, the physical body, and ask the question, what is here and now listening? What is here and now knows that it exists? Do not give a mental answer to this question. Just make the question and stay in silence. What is here and now listening? What is here and now knows that it exists? Stop focusing on your breathing. Become aware of any response after these questions. Become aware of any possible answers. But do not give the answers according to what you have studied before or listened before. So what is here knows that it exists. What is here and now listening these instructions. Now ask the question, can I localize what is here and now? Can I localize what is here, which knows that it exists? Now ask the question and remain silent. Where is the beginning point or the ending point of that witnessing consciousness which is here, which knows that it exists? Try to check that which is hearing, which knows that it exists, if it is really imprisoned in what you call my physical body. Do not think about that or do not analyze it mentally, but it's rather just like you want to see the truth, seeing in inverted commas, of course, seeing the truth, seeing what is here and now, what is here and now, and that is the knower, that which is the background of this hearing, the hearing of these instructions. Where is this background of the hearing? The substratum, does it have a beginning point or an ending point? Again, do not try to give mental answers to this inquiry, but rather to see the truth. Become aware of this Saksi Chaitanya, this witnessing consciousness. Very, 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 very slowly, open your eyes, remain unmovable, look in front of you, try to identify what is looking, and gradually start moving the body as a moving field of awareness. But do every movement very, very consciously. All right? And who would like to close tonight with a traditional way?
Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamada Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.